Peace and blessings, family. It's on once again, Vibe Tribe. It is yours truly, Bakri John Boy and Amani John Boy in the building. EY Pele Movement Ministry. We focus on your spiritual, your physical, and your financial well-being. We're excited about this series that we have started. It is the Spiritual Decolonization series that was inspired by the Queen of the Kingdom. Yes,
Ashe.
yes, indeed, man. So I'm definitely excited about it. She and I, we had offline discussions in this regard, and because of all the things that's happening these days, more people are becoming aware of who and what they are. In a lot of cases, and in some cases, certain individuals, they are still wrestling with accepting who they really are, and that encompasses our culture. Okay, and within culture, there is our spiritual system that's within our culture. Okay, and we are unapologetically spiritual, uh, and we are unapologetic about these teachings. Okay, we must be set free. This is not limited to the African culture, because spirituality, as we like to say, deals with your spirit. Okay, and the root word, just like in English, you go to that root word, and the root word in spirituality is spirit, and that's what we like to deal with, the inner man, because what goes inside of you is what influences the outside of you. Okay, so above, so below. Okay, so we understand that the spiritual realm influences the natural realm, and so my wife is getting ready to dive in for this presentation. This is the second episode that we're doing right now. Okay, so this will be a continuum, either on a Sunday or Thursday, because sometime again we have guests. Please make sure that you tune in on this Sunday. We're going to be dealing with mental wellness on this Sunday, because as we all know that if you're not mentally well, okay, then your life is out of control if you're not in control of your mind. So we believe that you live the way that you think. So with that being said, we believe in dealing with the mind, because that's where it all starts at. Whether or not you believe in yourself, it starts in the mind. Okay, how you see life, it starts in the mind. So that's the reason why we focus in on the mind. However, the mind is influenced by teachings. This we know. So the information influences your thought process.
That's right.
My queen, she's going to dive in for our second episode for spiritual decolonization, entitled Know Thyself. Queen, go ahead and grace the mic.
Well, thank you. Thank you. You are spot on when you said that about information influences us. And that's partially what this particular class or session is about. It's about knowing thyself, knowing thyself. And knowing thyself, I just want to add also to what you said. If you do not unlearn the colonized mindset, you will be left behind. So what I mean by that is you have to know yourself. You have to get to know your background. You have to get to know where you're from. You have to walk in your authentic self. You have to shake off some of the things that they told you, some of the things that you live by that are totally wrong, and they're totally opposite of what the divine created you to be. So I just want to give thanks, and I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be here to present this. We're not going to be before you long. We're just going to drop some jewels, and we're just going to keep it moving, right? So I just want to go over a little bit last week's, not last week, but the last time we were on, because, we had some things that went on with family. So, we weren't able to make it the last time, I think it was Thursday. So on last time we did a presentation in part 1 of spiritual decolonization, we went over the terms and meanings. We visited the meaning of the words colonization, spirituality, spirit, gaslighting, and decolonization. And what we're seeing now is a collapse of everything that we've been told, everything that we've been taught when it came down to our spirituality. A lot of things that we were taught in school, we're finding out that they're just not true. We're finding out that we've been lied to, that we've been misled. You know, we can say that we were lied to, maybe not intentional, by some of our parents or our grandparents or whatever, but we've been intentionally lied to by the colonizer. And the crutches that we were leaning on, we're finding out that they're not there anymore. And we have no other choice but to go within ourselves and to ask these questions. We have no other choice but to go into ourselves and pull on the God that's on the inside of us, right? Because we were so used to going like to church and asking this one and that one and et cetera, et cetera. And now that we've moved on and we've come into the knowledge of the truth, we have to go within. We have to go within to find out what's what. This is perfect. Honestly, this is perfect, because now you can pray, you can meditate. Now you can hear the voice of God. You're not listening to other voices. My prayer used to be, I'm listening to you, and no other voice will I follow. I'll listen to the divine. And I'm just going to say that you have to continue to commune and take direction from the divine. You know, there was a process to take us through slavery, but now we need to go through the process of taking ourselves outside and restoring us to our rightful place and on our throne. To see our own divinity, we have to see our own divinity and to know that we are creators. All right, so we're going to get into that a whole lot. You know, again, we ain't blasphemy. We're just teaching you, and we're getting things from where they got it from, which is our ancient ancestors. So today, in this episode of Know Thyself, we will start looking at this phase from a Cushite, Kemetic, ancient Egypt perspective. And then we'll learn how to work towards knowing thyself in our daily lives. And that knowing thyself was appropriated by the colonizer, but it was first given by our ancient ancestors in Kemet. So I just want to also just share with you, you know, my connection. I some years ago, my husband, he started to look into his DNA and wanted to know, you know, his upbringing and things like that. And I myself started to feel a little lost, you know, a little out of place after a while. And it's not because he was doing his, but it was something on the inside of me that kept tugging. I knew some things spiritually, but I didn't know naturally who and what I belonged to. And so I began to do the work as my husband did the work in order to dig in our DNA to find out who our ancestors was, and et cetera, et cetera. And of course, I found that my ancestors were the Nubians in ancient Egypt of Cush. At the time, there was a Cushite and a Kemetic joining together, or what have you. And I'm just glad to know that I physically carry that DNA, and it is pushing me even further to go ahead and pursue whatever destiny it is that's before me, to go ahead and do whatever it is that I need to do in order to bring others to the knowledge of the truth. Now, my question to you is, what does it mean to know thyself? If you out there, if you can put it in the chat, what does it mean to know thyself? And there's an Egyptian proverb that says, the kingdom of heaven is within you. We talked about this last week. And whosoever shall know himself shall find it. I'm going to read that again. The kingdom of heaven is within you, and whosoever shall know himself shall find it. And then there's another one that say the body is the house of God, and whosoever shall know thyself shall know God. Right? I'm going to read that one again, and I want you to meditate on that one. The body is the house of God. Whosoever shall know thyself shall know God. All right. So we're going to talk about a little bit what knowing thyself is. In ancient Kemet, today known as Egypt, above the entrance of each temple and the Grand Lodge, serving as an academic, listen to this, an academic and scientific learning center, appeared the ancient symbols for the phrase, man, know thyself. This phrase was above the academic centers, and it was above the temples, and it said, man, know thyself. And if there's anybody familiar with the Matrix, and there was a sign above the door that said, Temet Nose, which is Latin for know thyself. And what happened there was Neo was basically all powerful. He was still trying to learn about his potential. And he had his first visit with the oracle. You know what I'm saying? That's that thing that you talk to. He's visiting and he talking to him, talking to the oracle, or what have you. Because of this, she doesn't let him know what he's capable of doing. She's kind of directing him. She already know that he's powerful, but she didn't let him know. And then, but there was somebody that secretly knew, that told him that he was the one. And this is what we are on this path to find out, our own powerful selves. That's in respect to what know thyself is that you're finding out your own powerful self. And here it again, the body is the temple of God's within you. Therefore, it is said, man, know thyself. To know. And one thing about it, when I was doing this research, I kept coming into this word know and becoming and being. To know, to become and be, or what have you. And to know literally just meant to have knowledge, to be aware of, to have gained some type of wisdom, and to gain some type of knowledge. And also to know is to go into yourself. And this is another definition of knowing, because, you know, in the Bible, they always say, you know, Sarah knew Abraham, or he went into her, and all of this kind of stuff. And it implies an intimate unity. And the intimate bond could be physical, emotional, intellectual, or spiritual. You know, this is your connection in knowing. You have to go into yourself. You have to gain knowledge of self. In the book of Coming Forth by Day, which is some erroneously calls it the Egyptian Book of the Dead, this was quoted, knowledge of self, and it's on hotep.org. Knowledge of self has always been the root of a complete and thorough education. Listen to this. Education in the ancient Kemetic education or initiation system called the mystery system of Western historians. Now, we see today that there's a big fight, right? They want to cut off the education system. They don't want you to know who you are. They don't want you to know where you come from. They don't want you to know the history of what's going on. You see what I'm saying? All of this is attached to knowing, the knowledge. We need that knowledge. We got to have that knowledge. And if we can't get it in the school system, we have to teach it at home. The word education comes from the Latin term educo. It's pronounced, it say edocera, meaning to lead forth, to bring out, and to rear up. Thus, the true source of knowledge and education begins deep inside each person. Education is literally supposed to bring out the best in everyone, right? A good education must recognize the student's talents and interests. A good education empowers them to excel at their strengths. And we should all want to excel, and I'm going to get into others not wanting you to excel, while identifying and improving our weaknesses. Listen, education will help you to identify and improve your weaknesses. The foundation of a proper education is knowledge of self. I'm going to say that again. The foundation of a proper education is knowledge of self. We need only exercise honest personal analysis and correct weaknesses that may interfere with our purposes and our goals, right? So our ancestors in Kemet carefully handled educating new students called initiates. Listen, they took it seriously. They took it seriously because before our Kemetic ancestors would permit the new initiates to even enter in the sacred educational process, there's some things that the student had to do. The student were first required to purge themselves of physical, spiritual, and mental toxins. So that's a clue right there. That's a clue right there. We need to purge ourselves. We need to purge ourselves of the ways of the colonizer and the things that were taught to us and the things that we were taught to, the ways that we were taught to act. So we need to purge ourselves of those things that are not right, those things that are morally incorrect, right? So these new students had to purge themselves physically, spiritually, and mentally in preparation for the ancient education the initiate had to go. In preparation for an ancient education, the initiate had to undergo cleansing. This included fasting, meditation, and supplication to humble the inner spirit and harness the human passions. Once one gains a full understanding and acceptance of personal tendencies, motivations, positives and negatives, the journey can begin toward applying the knowledge of self. This will empower us to activate our inherent gifts from the Creator and cultivate the wisdom that is gained from life's experience, right? So it is impossible. It is imperative that you gain knowledge of self. It's the highest sacred knowledge is knowledge of self, right? So we're just going to deal with that right now. We're going to deal with that. We're going to talk about that. And to summarize, they talked about knowledge and how important it was to have knowledge of self, how important it was to purge yourself, and how important it was to purge yourself spiritually, physically, mentally by fasting, meditating, and supplication. They said that having knowledge would empower us and cause us to activate the gifts on the inside of us. Education in ancient Kemet was an invocation to go within yourself to find God. And that was what we said earlier. They said, man, know thyself, because when you find yourself, you will find God. So our teacher, Dr. Asa Hillard, he said, the ultimate aim of education in Egypt was for a person to become one with God or to become like God. The path to development of godlike qualities was through the development of the virtue of spiritual wisdom. And they're saying again, the aim of the education in Egypt was for a person to become one with God or to become like God. Right? So, I'm gonna put a pin there because I want to visit something. I want to revisit the Adam and Eve story. That's what I want to do. I want to revisit the Adam and Eve story. And in ancient Kemet, according to Ashwaquazi, The Adam and Eve story was taken from our ancient Cushite Kemetic ancestors. And then as Raquazi said, that this story was about the goddess Sheshet and the Ramses at that time. And it's just, I'm going to say it's a coincidence, because this Ramses that Sheshet was talking to on here, Ramses III, that's the Ramses that his blood is showing up in a lot of our DNA, E1B1A. And as we take our DNA test, I mean, 23andMe and tell you some of the other places will tell you that your DNA was traced back to this Ramses, because they took a DNA swab of his mummy and came out as E1B1A. And so in order for the king to rule the throne, the goddess Sheshet, who was the ancient Egyptian goddess of writing, wisdom, and knowledge, stood next to the tree. Now we talking about this thing, how they said whatever they said for the Garden of Eden. She said she stood next to the tree of divine wisdom, and she gave the fruit of divine knowledge and wisdom in order for him to rule the throne, which had nothing to do with good and evil and the demonization of women. They completely took the story from your ancestors and flipped it all around. So now we have people demonizing folk and basing their life off of a story that was stolen and appropriated. Stolen and appropriated. Right? It was stolen and appropriated. So now we over here trying to figure out what Adam and Eve did. And because Eve ate the apple, she gave the apple to Adam. So now we cursed, basically. But that's not the patriarchy or whoever call themselves, going over that story of interpreting that story. They need to go back, because even after I read it again and tried to figure some things out, it was all wrong. It was all all messed up. They had 6 or 7 interpretations for these same verses. So therefore, Sheshet, she purposely gave this fruit so that he can gain the knowledge. So we're gonna go to the Bible right quick. We're gonna go to Genesis 3, verse 4-7, and Genesis 3:22. And it said, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for God doeth know, there's that word again, God doeth have knowledge of, that in the day that you eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, and ye shall be as gods. Ye shall be as gods. The minute that you take the knowledge, take the fruit of understanding, to take the wisdom, your eyes will open, and ye shall be as gods. So, and when the woman saw that the tree was good for food and was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree to be desired to make one wise, wisdom, she took of the fruit and she ate, and she also gave some to her husband, and he ate. And the eyes of them both were open. So I don't want to go into who wanted their eyes to continue to stay shut, who didn't want them to have this knowledge, who didn't want them to have this knowing. I don't want to go into that right now. But I do know that there's a concerted effort to do just that, to keep your eyes shut. So in Genesis 3:22, and say, and the Lord God said, behold, the man is become. Here we go again. This word become. And when I looked at that word, I thought about Michelle Obama. You know what I'm saying? She wrote a book about becoming. And all of this is about, you know what I'm saying, developing and changing and evolving. She said, Michelle Obama, in her book, Becoming, she said, for me, becoming isn't about arriving somewhere or achieving a certain aim. I see it instead as forward motion, a means of evolving, a way to reach to a way to reach continuously toward a better self. The journey doesn't end. So becoming is a continuation of evolving. You know what I'm saying? When you're knowing yourself or what have you, it's a continuation of evolving. So as I continue to read, and in Genesis 3 and 22, and it said that they would become, meaning that, you know, that they would grow in wisdom. They would have a state of change, and that they had a journey, and they would become as one of us. And I was like, who is us? Us? Who is us? You know, and then I began to research a little bit, and I find out that they spoke of the Elohim. And Elohim in Hebrew means gods. So if they took up this knowledge, if they took up this fruit of wisdom and understanding, they will be as gods. Their eyes were open. They'll walk into their divinity. They'll walk into the place that they're supposed to play. They'll walk into their God-like state, all because of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And they wouldn't be as the angels, but they are divine persons. We are divine persons. That's the hidden thing. That's the elephant in the room. They are trying to take away your divinity and your knowledge of who you are. And so I'm just going to say there, it is a battle for your divinity. There's a concerted effort to keep you ignorant. There's a battle for your thoughts. There's a battle for your story and how you tell your story and what we think about ourselves. There's a battle for who we are. There's a battle for our humanness. Their agenda says that we're weak, powerless, temporary, and need to depend on something outside of ourselves. The technology that we need is already on the inside of us. This system is set to control our perception and suppress our consciousness so that we do not realize that our own I amness is our salvation and our savior. They do not want you to know that you are divine beings with supernatural powers, right? So that's basically all I have to say, because in my closing, I'm going to just quote from Psalm 82:6 and John 10:34, where it says, ye are gods. That's not blasphemy. Ye are gods. And that's what gaining this wisdom, knowledge, and knowing yourself is all about. You have to know who you are. You have to know the divinity that's on the inside of you, the power and the kingdom that's on the inside of you, the glory that's on the inside of you, the power that comes out of your mouth when you speak. You know what I'm saying? Your thoughts are radiating off of you. You got to know the power that those thoughts are provoking, and they call it manifestation and the law of attraction and all of that kind of stuff. You have got to take time to know who you are, to know thyself. So with that being said, that's all I have right now. That is all I have right now. You can, we'll go in a little bit more in depth about this. You know, you can tune in on Thursdays and Sundays for more teaching and the continuation of this series. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to our Facebook page, and we'll take it from there. Baka, we'll take it from there.
All right. Peace and blessings, family. Phenomenal presentation, my queen. Thank you all again, Vibe Tribe, for tuning in. Okay, we greatly appreciate your love and
Thank
support.
You, Nicole.
Please make sure that you hit the notification bell. Okay, literally on Facebook, if you look in the upper right hand corner there, you'll see a notification bell, so you get all the live videos that we do. Additionally, if you go on YouTube, make sure you hit the bell as well, subscribe, so that way you'll get the notifications when we go live. We normally post the video the day prior to. Okay, so you can definitely click on that. and you'll be able to get the information. If you are on Instagram, my Instagram followers, okay, do the same there. Go up there, hit that notification bell up there in that right-hand corner there. But if you want the live presentations, it'll be best for you to subscribe to the YouTube channel, to follow us on YouTube at EY Pele Movement, okay? Or either you can go to my personal live stream, which is Bakari Jambor, or my wife, Amani Jambor, okay? And you can follow our page there, and you can actually see the live presentation. We want you guys to get the information. I don't know about you, but I've been on presentations before. People was talking, and they was, I'm gonna show you this and I'm gonna show you that. I was like, man, I can't see it. So if you want to see it, just follow the instructions, you'll get it. Again, we greatly appreciate you all. We love you so much. Remember, EY Pele Movement, we're here for your spiritual, physical, your financial well-being. We're not the end all be all. It is up to you to pray in that spirit to show you things so you can not only just know thyself, but you can know for yourself. Thank you once again for tuning in. We greatly appreciate you guys. Have a blessed one.